Hello, Void here. I already did that video, but I'm gonna re-record it because I don't know. I just didn't feel right. I already had my monster today, or parts of it. If I may be a bit too talking a bit too fast, that's probably why. I moved out, and I want to talk about it. For starters, what I saw online is that it's gonna be the worst experience of your life. That moving out from home is the worst thing you can do, that you're going to be miserable, that you're going to be depressed, that you're going to be suicidal. It didn't happen for me, and obviously this is my personal experience. I don't want to discount it. I don't want to say that it happens to nobody, because I know people that also happened to, right? But I've online only seen people talk about how you're gonna be miserable. For starters, you're not. There's a chance you might not be miserable. That you're actually gonna get better, right? That it's actually gonna be nice. And I think that's quite also depends on your circumstance, right? It depends on why you're moving, if you're forced to, or if you choose to, where you're moving, right? For example, I live in a more rural area, and then I live in a more like urban area. So for me, this was a huge improvement because obviously, if you live in a rural area, basically most things you have to drive, right? And it's so nice to just think, okay, I need to get some groceries. I'm just gonna go for a walk because I prefer walking over taking the car because I don't know. I just find it a lot more relaxing, right? When I walk, I start feeling better, right? And I start feeling less anxious. If I drive, I start feeling angry and more anxious. So for me, that's just nice change of pace. And again, it might be your circumstance. If you're maybe a big city kid and move to a small village, this is going to be a different thing. Or if you're a small village kid and move to a big city and you hate big cities, obviously you're going to be depressed. But this general consensus, at least that I saw online, that's always going to be miserable is just wrong, okay? Also, what I saw a lot online is you're gonna gain more independence, and I'm 24 now, right? And I lived at home till I was 24 because in this economy, and also because I didn't predict COVID. Yeah, and I didn't predict that the economy would crash. That's on me, to be fair. But the good thing is I had saved money for moving out, so now I could just buy stuff. I didn't need that much, to be fair. I needed a new bed. That's all I needed. So, but you get my point. I saved that money, so it's obviously a bit less stressful if you have savings. And if you plan on moving out when you're 18 and only move out when you're 24, you got some time. Yay. And also, what I noticed is basically what I already stated, I think, is that you gain independence, which I think is to some degree is true. But what I saw a lot online, even from people like my age, saying that you learn how to do the laundry, learn how to vacuum and stuff like that. But I did that at home, so I don't know. I just had chores at home, and there I learned how to do that. Even though I know obviously there are cases where parents or grandparents are so controlling that you don't learn basic tasks because your family deems you too stupid for them, right? Like my grandma was like that. When I was to wash my own laundry at 14, she was like, no, you're gonna fuck it up, you're gonna do it wrong, don't do that, you're gonna do it wrong, you're too stupid for that, right? And I always thought, oh my god, washing your laundry is rocket science, and I turned 16. And my grandma was in the hospital, and then I got to wash my own laundry, and turns out it's not a rocket science. It's truly not. It's easy. So I don't want to shame anybody for not being able to do simple chores because I don't know your background. But if you like me beforehand also did the grocery shopping and a lot of the chores at home, you won't gain that many new independent skills. The only thing I still need some more independence is bureaucracy because it still overwhelms me. Bureaucracy is for me that one thing where I still oftentimes go to my mom and I'm like, Mom, I don't get it. Just for my mother to be like, I think you need to do that. So then, in the end, I think both of us are sometimes just guessing on what bureaucracy wants for me. So that's great. I think that I could theoretically gain some more independence. Also, I don't know if you can hear the traffic. So if I'm just quiet for a second, that's probably why. I'm currently not sure if it's traffic or if in my street there's currently several like construction sites, and I've yet to figure out when they start working and when they stop. And I fear it might actually be a construction site. Fuck. Okay, either way. So, like, yes, you gain independence in the sense of having to do more stuff on your own, like contracts or like bills or like insurances, bureaucracy. But other than that, it's the same as living at home, at least for me, because you do your laundry yourself, you vacuum yourself, like you clean your, like, if you were like me, already did most things independent, it's not that crazy. Also, like, once I hit like 16, I didn't really have like times when I had to be home, right? My mom just wanted to know where I'm at. / like, once I was 18, it was like, hey, if you're gone for several days, it would be cool if you let me know. Yeah, like, so maybe if you're from a very strict family, this is a completely different story, maybe than being allowed to just, leave the house early or late or whatever. It's maybe a different thing. I'm looking at my notes. Also, what's very nice about moving, at least for me, because I moved to a bigger town, is having access to stuff. And it sounds stupid, but you have access to like a social life, and that's really nice, because where I used to live, most social activities are basically drinking, and I don't like drinking, and I don't know, it's just not fun for me, right? I tried, but it's just not fun. Like, I sometimes drink, but it's like 2 to 3 times a year, so I'm not really an avid drinker. It's just not for me. And then obviously, if most of the social life is basically drinking, it's kind of bad if you don't. And here I can just go to different stuff, different things that could lead to an actual social life that does not involve alcohol. So, yay. And also you have access to a lot more like stores, which obviously we can talk about, like, generally speaking, overconsumption patterns that mostly are driven due to social media, and thus me saying that shopping is a good thing is actually just showing how shallow I am and how I'm afflicted by those overconsumptionist patterns. But as I understand, obviously critiques in there, because people say it's better to live in a town where you don't have access to that, so you consume less. But it's just, for me, really nice to see stuff in person before you buy it. I prefer buying stuff in person. I don't use Amazon, or I try to avoid it. Unless it's for books that only get published on Amazon. But other than that, I try to avoid Amazon like the plague. So for me, it's really nice to have just like access to, especially like bookstores with a bit more varied like offerings. I'm listening to too much Sleep Token. With like varied selection of books. In particular, because in my hometown stores, they didn't have that many books. And if you would ask them to order something, they would get very annoyed at you, which is really stupid. Because they would complain about being worried about having to shut down, and you're like, hey, I want to order this new book you guys don't have to support my local bookstore. I didn't say it like that, obviously. And they were like, what do you want to order? This book from this author. This massive author. Okay. I already picked out the ISBN, the title, and the name of the author. You could just order it over Amazon, right? Like, yeah, but I don't use Amazon. Okay. Like, to be fair, the woman was close to retirement. Maybe she just doesn't care what happens to her colleagues. That could very much be it. But I somehow always had a bad luck of running into her when I wanted to order a book. because I refuse to use Amazon. And here I have more access to bookstores that might not be annoyed at me ordering a book. Or they might just have that book. Also, they say the bookstores are a lot better because, like, in my local bookstore, where I used to go shopping, I looked at the like used section, right? It was like for 12 and up, right? Because I was looking for a comedy book, and they had comedy under youth, which I don't know if whatever. To think that every comedy book is for 12 and up is risky, but okay. And their recommendation, and they had this kind of recommendation table, and then they were like for teenagers 12 and up. They had Hunting Adelaide, or Adeline, or whatever it's called. I haven't read that book, but I googled that book after people said that it's good, and then another person I know said it's bad, and I was horrified, and then I saw that recommended for teenagers, so honestly, my local bookstore is a bit weird anyways. Or for my local bookstore, I need to get used to that. Also, you have access to social life, as already stated, but the problem with that is when I lived in a small town, when there was something interesting happening, it was now or never kind of situation, right? The likelihood that you would find something interesting for people under like 60 was close to zero. So when something interesting was happening, it was probably a thing that would only happen once a year or 2 years or 3 years, right? Now here I have access to a social life and to like kind of meetups and concerts and parties and whatever, basically almost every day of the week, or every day of the week, but I'm just picky. So this kind of led me to oftentimes be like, well, like this concert sounds interesting, but I could just go another day. There's gonna be another concert that's for free, right? So I don't know any of the bands. I can go someday else. And I think this could surely become my downfall if I keep postponing my social life, because I would have because you always have access to socializing basically, so you just postpone that. I think that could be a problem, but we'll see. Okay, so another point I wanted to address. I sound like an influencer who's addressing why they get cancer because of fucking assholes. Sorry. I wear too much makeup, or too little, I'm not sure, for that. But what I wanted to also address about moving out is like that for me at least, it kind of bettered the relationship to my family. Because obviously if you live with your family, there's a lot more room for confrontation and for annoying each other into getting mad at each other. And obviously if you don't live at home, you don't have that. I know some people who say they like kind of miss their family a lot when they move out, that it's for them hell on earth. In that case, that might not apply to you. Again, this is just my personal experience, but in my experience, it kind of breaks the relationship to your family because you just aren't in contact 24/7 with each other. Again, I know people that are different like that. I know people who have like Life 360 and where they like ride with their parents every single hour of every single day. I'm just not like that, so I think it's quite nice, especially because with my mother there was like a lot of like, she for example likes to watch reels with her full volume on her phone, and I like to read in peace and quiet, which I then wouldn't get. Especially when my mother was listening to music, because it didn't matter if you were in a different room, you would still hear that music. And if you just want to read, that just wouldn't work. And those are small things, but those small things add up to you getting annoyed at each other. So I think that really helps moving out, you know? And yeah, so I think overall moving out is a good thing because it just enables you to kind of live the life you want to. And also, I don't think as much finding yourself. I kind of knew what I want from life from when I was like 16. basically. At 16, I was like, okay, I want to do this, and that was that. I haven't changed my goals since. I made them more like detailed or more realistic, because like with 16, I was like, okay, I want this, but I had no idea how to get there. And nowadays I'm a bit more, okay, I want this in my life and that in my life and that in my life. You know, break up that kind of main goal into different goals and into achievable goals and into like sub steps, you know, like if you reach 50%, it's still better than nothing, right? Which I obviously did not do at 16 because I didn't have the foresight for that. Hi, so I'm currently editing and I noticed that I kind of didn't get to the point I wanted to get at. Number one, I'm sorry that there's kind of like background noise. I don't know what causes that. This kind of like weird background noise. I don't know what causes that because I didn't have that in other videos. Either way, not the point. Basically, it gives you an independence. Like moving out gives you an independence to pursue your goals because my goals aren't supposed to be rich, right? Don't involve getting rich, right? And this means when you live with your family, at least in my case, I often felt like I was not adding value to my family. I was not adding anything of value to my family, right? I felt like I was kind of a leech. Like I was just using my family. And obviously this is not the truth, and I asked my mother in particular if she hates me for being so useless, and she doesn't. But I always felt like it was wrong to pursue my goals because it did not include to get rich, because then I could pay back, especially my mother, for all the money she wasted on raising me, right? And when you live on your own, you maintain yourself. You don't need anybody else to maintain you. Okay, I live with a roommate. If she were to move out, okay. But you get my point. I don't need anybody else. This means if I pursue my goals, and despite them being like not ambitious, I can still pursue those because the only person who will suffer if I fail or if I end up doing something stupid is me. So it gives you the independence to try and fail without having somebody else being dragged into it. That's basically what I wanted to say. And yeah, and also I noticed it quite oftentimes during the video or something like that. And also I'm sorry for the bad light situation. It looked different on my camera. I swear to God. Okay, I don't believe in God, so I swear to... I don't know. I don't believe in anything. But you get my point. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, like, subscribe, leave a comment. But please, if you comment, be respectful. You can criticize me, but if you threaten me to R-word me or to me, then I'm gonna delete that comment. Thank you. Like my last video got 300 views, I think. And I had, I think, 3 comments telling me that they're gonna me. Look man, I do this for 12-year-old me who always wanted to have a YouTube channel like that. And I understand my quality isn't on influencer standards. And I understand that I honestly need to work on my articulation. Okay, I understand that. But please, for the love of God, if you don't like it, just don't watch it. And if you want to criticize me, feel free to do that. But don't threaten to me. Thank you.